Okay.
That's new, by the way. I just recently started to do that. I never used to say that out loud.
Oh, really?
Yeah, before you just press recording and it would just start recording. Recently, within the last month, you press recording and it goes, recording is in progress.
That's good.
Yeah, it's like, so people know, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you never know. Privacy, I guess, or
that's true.
maybe HIPAA compliance and stuff and whatnot.
Which is good because people
Yeah.
be doing some sneaky stuff,
Yeah.
trying to catch you slipping.
But yeah, no, no.
Hey guys, this is your girl Lyra, and you're listening to Self Reflection Podcast. How are you guys doing today? I hope you are doing well. Whatever time it is for you, I hope this message finds you well. Good morning to you, good afternoon, good evening. Today we have a special guest on here. We have Michael James, and Michael is a life coach and a motivational speaker, and also owns a life coaching institute, I would say. So I am going to let Michael introduce himself.
Hey, everyone. Nice to be here. Lyra, thank you for inviting me. Feel honored to be here to get to share a little bit about myself and to have just a really great conversation about life in general and maybe through that conversation maybe some people can gain a little bit of insight. That'd be awesome, and get to know each other a little bit more. So a little bit about me and life coaching. And yes, I do have a training company that specializes in helping men and women not only learn tools for how to help other people achieve more results, be more empowered, but also for themselves. A lot of times when people come to the course, they come because they know that I specialize in the area of certifying people to become life coaches, and then they come to the course and they realize I need some work. I got some work I need to do on me, right? And so the courses that I teach is really about personal empowerment. And like I love what you do because it's like helping people really discover who they are, who they're meant to really be, and what they're meant to do, and have the things that they deserve to have. Living like a purposeful life, and not just external abundance, external enjoyments, because we all like to enjoy these external things. I mean, who doesn't enjoy like a nice home and a nice car and nice clothes and vacations and all of these external things, and I think those are all amazing and great. It's I think part of our experience that to have here is to enjoy the senses, enjoy the senses and relationships and touch and romance and all that stuff. And the well, something I teach in the classes in the NLP trainings, which stands for neuro linguistic programming, and I think we can get more into kind of what that is, but why is that important? Because NLP was created by modeling very successful people who achieved excellence, not just external things, but internal excellence. And then they model them and they discovered that these the people these are using certain strategies for how they achieve certain things. So if we could adopt some of those strategies, then we can achieve similar results. So the key is not just the external things. I think that's beautiful. It's how to achieve that internal wealth, the internal wealth that keeps on giving no matter what. And when we learn to tap into that inner wealth, the outer wealth becomes that much more delicious, right? It's like, wow, yummy, because now it's like you can have all these external things, but it's like they come and they go. And that's okay. Because inner, you're getting your wealth, so to speak, from, we use the word inner. Who knows where it comes from? Maybe it comes from the outer. Maybe God's coming, it's coming all around us. But we use this term inner because it's just kind of when you close your eyes, you can imagine yourself. You can feel certain things, you can tap into certain things internally. And we have, Dr. Joe Dispenza is great at talking about the chemistry, not just the chemistry, the pharmacy. We literally have an unlimited pharmacy in our own bodies. I mean, literally, we have like all the serotonin, oxytocin, and we have all the healing remedies, and we have stuff like cortisol and adrenaline and all these stuff. And so we have that. I mean, I was watching a guru called Sadhguru, and he was talking about the studies they've done on the brain, that our brain have THC receptors. So our brains can produce THC, which is what marijuana gives you. Like, we have the capacity to be high. You know what I mean? By our own inner pharmacy. And that, Lyra, fascinates me because I have a past in which I had addictions, alcohol addictions, drug addictions, sex addictions, and I fell into these types of addictions because I thought that I needed it from out here. I didn't know that I could access it in here. And so I don't know if you guys can relate with this. It's like, you smoke a joint and it's like all of a sudden you feel a little bit better about yourself, right? Or you do some cocaine, all of a sudden you feel a little bit more energized, right? And what happens when we do these things, and I'm not knocking anyone who's on this path, I had to go through my path to get to where I'm at, but our bodies stop producing because we're getting it from somewhere else. And sometimes they're synthetic and, people are putting in it. And we see people walking around the street going like, whoa, this person totally lost their marbles, because you can't trust what people are putting in some of these things nowadays. So my mission is to help people be more empowered, be more in control of their minds, which helps them be more in control of their emotional state, right? I don't know. Sorry, I can go on and on and on here. So.
Oh no, I want you to go on and on and on. That's why you're here. I think my audience, my followers, people that are listening to this podcast, they have heard my voice multiple times, and they're gonna keep hearing my voice.
And you have an awesome voice, by the way.
Thank you. So I love it when people come on to the podcast and, share and take over the podcast. So please take over the podcast. I am begging you to. And I think just from the intro and how you have described what you do and just like showing the knowledge that you have, I think our conversation is going to be amazing.
Yes.
So I am looking forward to, this interview. One thing you said that really stuck with me was how our bodies can produce all the external things that we are looking for.
Yeah.
And you use the word pharmacy. I have never heard anyone use that word before or use it in that way. And I think that to me is going to be something that I'm going to carry on from now on, you know. So I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And since we're talking about, the inner self, we're already on that path. How can someone trust their inner self, the voice that they hear all the time? Because we all hear voices, we all have our little right side angel, left side angel. We have those.
Right.
So how can someone trust those voices?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and a question that I've asked myself many times. And I remember I'm trying to remember how long it was. It was years ago, at least I want to say maybe 12, 13 years ago, when I'd already been on this path of becoming more empowered and learning how to be more spiritually led. I'm just going to go there with it, right? For me, it was like I had a spiritual awakening about 18, 19 years ago, and it happened at the lowest point of my life. I mean, I was like down and out. I was in a very dark place, to the point that I was like thinking about taking my own life. That's how low I was. And it happened I was incarcerated. So for those of you that don't know, I was in prison, in federal prison, and I was facing charges of drug conspiracy, because my drug use led to drug dealing and led to making tons of money doing that. And I ended up in the federal prison system, and everything was stripped from me that gave me the sense of self-worth, that gave me the feelings. I mean, everything was all gone, and I'm sitting there in a 6x8 cell with some top ramen soups and some chips in my locker and being fed the most horrible meals, wearing the same clothes and not being able to control Lyra. Ooh, that was a tough one, right? Not being able to use money to get what I want because it was all taken from me. And that bottomless, what felt like a bottomless pit of depression and sorrow and anger and just like, why am I here? Like, how did I just was like questioning my life. I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, it just all came hitting me at once.
Yeah.
And in that dark night of the soul, as a term that's used a lot, which is a term used when somebody goes through like a low level, but out of that low level, it's like it's kind of like the caterpillar, right? It like disintegrates inside its cocoon as it's reemerging. But imagine disintegrating. It can be a painful process because it's and a scary process. And I'm sure your listeners can relate on some level. Maybe not maybe you didn't drug deal or go to be incarcerated, but on some level where it's like we create these personas of who we think we need to be, so that we can be liked, loved, and respected. And that's what I did. And so that was preventing me from tapping into my truest, authentic self. And so the voices, to answer your question, our unconscious mind creates different parts, different sections, so to speak. There's the ego, which is one part of us, which is a voice that's consistently there. It's not a bad thing. It's just an ego. The ego can be healthy and it can be unhealthy. It can be either one. It depends on how you train the ego, which is your identity. It's like a little temporal you. Then you have the higher self, which is the truest fragment of the God self spirit that's evolving you to become who you're truly meant to be. So you have this going on consistently, but there's these parts that are developed or created based upon our upbringing. So for example, when I do the work that I do with some of my clients, it's like it's like the mom's voice is still playing in the head from either positive or negative, or the dad's voice or the uncle's voice or somebody's voice. And so these start to take little forms and can be scary if you don't know what that is. So how do you identify the difference between them? And so it's challenging, right? But what I've found is that as you create more inner awareness and awareness means that you're aware of what's happening in the mind and you're aware of the different voices, you can feel which one feels better. You start to notice like, this one feels like this, that one feels like this, and and then you act on them, and then you'll see, oh, that one was really based upon selfishness. But you got to be honest with yourself. You got to be like brutally honest with yourself. But that one was based upon more other focus, other people, and you start to learn. You start to learn which one to listen to. And for me, the goal is to be more spiritually led in my life. For me, I can't say for anybody else. For me, that's how I like to live my life. And so I believe when it comes from spirit, from God, from source, energy, whatever name people want to give that which created all,
Yeah.
you know, follow that, tune into that thing, because that's what's growing the trees and that's what's giving us sun. That's what's providing us air. And if you look at this intelligence that clearly exists in reality, it's always giving of itself. It's like a mother nature energy. It's a father energy. It's both. I think it's both, my opinion, right? And it's never asking, what can you do for me? It's always just giving us plenty of fruits, plenty of things and everything. And so it's abundance is in our nature is what I'm really trying to get to here, right? Like we're created to be abundant, but we are conditioned sometimes to be not enough and scarcity. And if she has something that I won't have enough it. And there's this like not enough mentality. That's a virus, I believe. It's a bad virus that's in the mind. It's like a scarcity. I don't have enough. And it's programming for the most part. for the most part, it's completely programming actually. And we bought into this as a society. I'm sure, your age is waking up to this fucking shit. You're seeing like, wait a minute. Whoa, wait. Why are we believing what we believe in? Because our parents believed in that and their parents believed in that. And so it's like people are waking up.
Mm-hmm.
They're seeing through the illusion of that, right? And it's an exciting time that we live in, I think. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I kind of went a little bit over here.
I think you did. I think you did, especially touching into, you know, to be able to identify the voice that you need to let it guide you. You need to tap into something other than yourself, into a higher power or Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it, like you said.
Right.
You have to seek out that higher power to be, to be able to respond to those voices in the right way, if I heard you correctly.
Yes. And let me just break it down for some of these people. So based upon the courses that I teach NLP. So NLP studied the mind, studied how we communicate. It's really the study of communication with self and other people and how to be more in control of that, right? So what you said, I loved because you said we're always hearing voices, we're always talking to ourselves. Most people don't admit that, but it's true. So this is kind of how the system works. We have 5 different modalities of learning called the senses, right? You have what you see, clearly you can see unless you're blind. You can hear things unless you're deaf. And you can feel things. You can taste things and you can smell things. Those are our 5 primary senses, but they're not just senses, they're also modalities of learning. So some of us are more visual learners. We need to see things. We need to read or see videos. Some of us are more auditory learners. We're all of them, by the way, but we might lean more towards one. Some of us are more kinesthetic learners. I want to do the thing and I learn through doing. Now, those are kinesthetic learners. Those are the 3 primary ones, are those visual, the auditory, and the kinesthetic. And then you have, of course, what you smell and what you taste. All of that gets filtered in through your conscious mind. Your conscious mind can only hold up to 4 to 6 or 7 things at one given time, at the best. At the best. So your conscious mind, it deletes information. It has to. It distorts information and it generalizes information through this filter. And then what you get is 126 bits of information based upon 2 million bits of information at any given time. So you don't receive everything that's coming at you. But what decides the 126 bits? Your beliefs and your values and what's called meta programs. So this is kind of deep, right? So you got all this information. Like right now, I'm sharing information. Everybody listening to this, including you, you're doing this thing. Your conscious mind can only receive so much information. So it's distorting. It might be like, oh, that just kind of distorts what I'm saying, or it generalize. Oh, he says this, so that means this generalization, and then you get 126 bits. So think of it like this: there's 2 million toothpicks, and you pick up 126. But what decides those 26 is your beliefs and the deeper level programming, right? So when you understand like this, you have one more component that I didn't mention yet, because I wanted to give you these 5 components. You have what NLP calls auditory digital. Auditory digital is the interpreting, it's the inner voice, right? It's like, so if I was to say to you right now the word Coca-Cola, okay? Coca-Cola. Now, just for a second, to all the viewers or listeners and for yourself, Vera, I want you to say the word Coca-Cola, not out loud, but just silently in your brain. Ready? Go. All right. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. But you didn't say anything.
No.
That's your auditory digital. That is never stops. It's always going. That's the voice. That's the ego right there.
So how do we not control it, because sometimes people can have that go on, you know, faster than they probably can handle. How do we manage it? I guess not control, but manage. How do we manage that?
Great question. So awareness is like a muscle, right? So think of it in the sense of this awareness is like this big beach ball. Okay. And just kind of, it's an awareness and wherever the beach ball bounces, that's where the energy flows. So we're all made of energy, all of us, right? We're completely made of energy. And what we focus on, we're literally sending energy to that place. So the beach ball is bouncing around. Now, in your mind, and all of our minds, we have different compartments. You have a joy, you have a love, you have anger, you have sadness, you have things that remind you of certain areas. Where this ball bounces is where we focus energy to, right? So how you manage it, which is your question, is you create and you build stronger awareness. If the ball is bouncing in an area that makes you feel like shit, well, fucking bounce the ball somewhere else, right? Don't keep bouncing in the same area that makes you feel I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy enough. I'm trying to simplify it for you guys, right? This is the simplified version of it. It's just become more aware. Am I feeling the way I want to feel? Okay, I'm not. So why is that? It's because I'm bouncing the ball in the area here that's bringing up some thoughts of comparing myself to somebody. Maybe that's a big one, right? I'll never be as good as him or her. Or maybe I feel fake. I don't feel authentic. It's imposter syndrome. That's a big one that I deal with clients, right? It's like, how can I be authentic if I'm only 18, 21, 22? I don't have enough experience. Whatever. There's stories that we create in our minds. So create a different story. We have the power to create whatever we want to create. Like literally, when you study like the quantum physics world, I'm not a quantum physics expert, but I've watched some of the stuff and it's pretty interesting, right? It's like the quantum, the double helix experiment with the waves and particles and atoms, and they change based upon observation. So they did what they hooked up cameras to it, and waves behaved like particles and particles behaved like waves. They changed when they were being observed. So our perception changes things. So how we see things change things. How you interpret things changes things. We're so much more powerful as people, as humans, than we even begin to realize, right? So whoever you think you are in any given moment, you are more than that.
Definitely.
But we get caught into this sometimes, the limitations, right? And wait, what are you doing? You're making a podcast. Don't go do that, girl, right? People put their limitations on us, and the world does sometimes, and so we buy into it. We buy into the program that we're limited beings.
Yeah.
Right? And I want to help people be free to buy into a different, because we're going to be programmed to something, but you might as well program yourself something that's freaking badass, right? Like a superhero.
and I think that's what I love about life coaching, or having a coach or someone holding you accountable, is because they bring in a different perspective other than your immediate family, your, exterior circle, people that are around you. They're bringing a fresh idea. And it's not as if they don't care about your feelings, but they don't sugarcoat stuff, and they let you know that you're more than what your family has been telling you or your friends have been telling you, and they let you see that in a way. And that's why I appreciate you and the rest of the life coaching association and community.
Yeah, and to take it even a step further, it's like pulling out what's already inside somebody. So I'm not giving it to my clients. I'm pulling out what's already there. Right. So my questions are, life coaching is question asking. It's not answer giving. It's question asking, because every question has an answer. So if I ask an empowering question, we'll have an empowering answer. A disempowering question will have a disempowering. So example, why does this always happen to me? Disempowering question, right? Mm-hmm. What is it that I'm not seeing that if I did see would cause me to see this situation in a better way? Empowering question, right? What kind of questions are we asking? So what I do with my clients is I say, hey, tell me if you had a realistic magic wand, where could you see yourself being? If you had a realistic magic wand, so it's realistic, but it's got magic in it, where would you see yourself being in 6 months to 1 year from now?
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is it creates the creativity in the mind to start to imagine, which is what we used to do when we were kids. And we stop doing it sometimes because like, oh, it doesn't work for me or hasn't worked for me, or I've been told that, Serena Williams can be a great athlete, but I can't, right? Or whatever, right?
Yeah.
We create these stories of limitations. So what I do is I help bring out the imagination and the dream again that they've lost. And then back to your point, I hold them accountable, not trying to catch them doing the wrong thing. That's not what I do. I'm not like a babysitter like that, right? I hold them accountable to the highest and greatest version of who they truly are. I hold them to that.
Love
I
that.
call them on the bullshit pretending to be poor little me over here. Like that's not who you are. Stop pretending, right? Stop pretending to be that you can't do this, right? That's what we do. In a way, we pretend. We pretend to be limited. We pretend to be, and then we create all these freaking excuses of why we can't.
Yeah, I agree. I think we sometimes set ourselves to fail, even though our entire body is pulling us to the winning side, but we're like, no, I want to stay on this losing end, quote unquote losing, because depend on who and how you perceive it. But yeah, just to keep the message general, like, your
But
body.
let me ask you this question.
Huh.
What do you think causes people to do what you just said?
I think sometimes is people don't see themselves more than what they are, than what, like we said, like what society has put the cap they have seen, or they have the box they have put themselves in. Let's
Mm-hmm.
use the word for. People don't see themselves other than more outside that box. They don't see themselves in a circle. They see themselves in this little square for the
Yes.
most part. And I think a lot of people are just afraid to be vulnerable, if we're being honest. Or,
Yes.
you know,
So let me get this right. So people are afraid to go outside the box. So they create this inner box.
mhm.
They're afraid to be vulnerable. So what does the inner box give them?
The inner box just gives them the same cycle. I believe it gives you the same cycle. It gives you, nothing other than what you're used to.
Right, but here's the question is why do they choose to stay in the little? Because people are doing it all the time. I've done it.
Hmm.
In this, they're choosing the inner box, not the out, because the outer box is what? It's not known.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So there's an element of I don't know how it's. I haven't been outside the box.
Yeah. The
I know.
comfort.
There you go.
The comfort. That's I feel like
What
that's
is
what it is.
and what does comfort give you? It keeps you what?
Static.
It also keeps you safe.
That too.
Right. And so
Yeah.
this is the reason when I do the work with my clients, they're why they don't come out of the box. It keeps them safe. So here you are, here I am, right? Trying to encourage people to go out the box, and their unconscious mind are going, wait a minute, I don't know, it's not safe out there. I've been told that's not safe out there, right?
Yeah.
So they choose. So here's the analogy, right? It's like you got this little boy or little girl, right? And there's an adult talking to them and they're saying, hey, like, don't go down that road. There's sharp glass, it's hot, and it's you're gonna hurt yourself because a lot of obstacles that you can hurt yourself.
Hmm.
Look, you can go down this other road that's relatively almost the same, but it's a little slight vantage point of a difference over here. And it's really nice, and it's got nice grass, and it's sunny, and it's really good on your feet. It's going to be really good on your feet. It's going to be really nice and cool. You're gonna feel really happy. And the little girl boy says, wait a minute. I don't know about that grass. Everybody that I know goes on this road. My dad went down it, mom did, and my uncles and my friends are going down it. So I'm gonna go down this road. And so they go down the road and they're like, ow, ow, that hurt.
Yeah.
Ow, that hurt. Ouch. Right? It's like freaking sore because there's glass and there's nails and it's hot and it's like cement. And it's a slight vantage point. It's so slight that if it just went here, this is how simple it is in your mind to just go down this other road, but it's unknown. The other one is known.
Yeah.
Everyone you know did it. Everyone around you is doing it. What are we seeing right now in our society? People follow what people do.
Yeah.
If somebody says this, and the majority starts to do that, like herds, like sheep, right?
It's funny because I was reading. I'm still in the middle of this book, but it's called Leap by Tesla. It's called Leap. I don't know if you heard. Tess. Well, so to get to the point is she, was a broadcaster, a financial broadcaster, and, she'd been in that field for over 12 or so plus years. And, she's making good money. And she ended up quitting her job. Like, she was like, okay, this is not making me happy anymore. I don't find joy in this, because she wasn't advancing. Because as humans, we like to go up the ladder. That's something that we always look to do, So she was like, okay, I'm not advancing. And she quit her job without a backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
And, to wrap it up with what we're saying is, what I'm trying to say is, sometimes it's good to just jump, take that sprint, take that jump, take that, that fall, even though you don't know where it's going to land. Because I personally, I believe if you jump and you fall, you are going to be okay, no matter how you land. You're going to be okay as long as you don't stay down there. You find a way to get up, pick yourself up, find a community, whatever you need to get up. You're going to get back up, but you just have to jump off the bridge or something, not the bridge, but you just need to take that step. So if you're listening and you've been in that little box that we've been describing, and you're wanting to take that step, please do it. Trust yourself and just do it.
Yep. And here's another thing too that I love that. What's this? When you're talking about jump. Oh, what's his name? Can't think of his name right now. Black guy. He was on this show, and he's like a game show, and now he does a lot of motivational speaking things. He talks about this whole clip on jumping. I'm gonna get that to you. I'm gonna remember his name later and get that to you. But Jim Carrey talks about something that's going to hit home exactly what you're talking about. He says that he was interviewed, and he was given a speech. He was given a speech to a graduation group, the Maharishi. They were graduating college and whatnot. And he's given a speech, and in that speech, he says that, being raised by his father was just an amazing man and very funny, like comedian. He was a comedian also. And his father was in a difficult situation in which, he had a choice. And it was to take this really secure, high paying job or to follow the path of being a comedian. And so he said his father took the job that was going to make sure that he took care of the kids and everything. And he worked there for a few years. And about 3 years later, he ended up getting fired. And he saw that growing up. And he says, you know what? He said to himself, you know what? What I learned from my dad is some good things and some things that I don't want to do. One of the things that I learned from my dad is you can fail at doing the thing you don't love doing. So to your thing, you can jump, and I want to be real with you can still fail. We're not saying that you're going to jump and you're going to make it. You can fail doing the thing you love. But what he said, you can fail at the things you don't love. So you might as well take a chance doing the things you do love. So in other words, if you're going to fall, why not fall doing something that you love to do? At least you can say, I did my best. Mm-hmm. We know that if you fall and you fall forward and you take the feedback, it leads you to the next level. I mean, study anybody who's ever achieved anything in life. And they all have a story. Oprah Winfrey got fired from her commercial. I don't know, from her being was it a newscaster or something? I forgot what it was she was doing, right? They fired. They said, you'll never make it in whatever on TV.
Yeah.
The woman's got her own TV show now, her own channel, right? It's like, come on now.
She can own the whole network.
She has her own network. It's like she
But
has
she
her own.
owns her own network. Yeah. So what would you, as we're talking about taking steps, moving forward, jumping, what would you tell someone that is struggling with self-confidence? Um, sometimes I feel like confidence is the reason why people don't take that step. They're not comfortable with themselves, and they don't have enough confidence to take that jump.
Well, the first thing you want to look at is what's causing the lack of confidence, right? And then rewrite that, whatever it is. The thing is this, we're born confident. So it's not like, I mean, just think about it. Look at kids. They're born and they just run around and they fall and they get back up. They're already confident. So you already have it. It's to realize that you already have it in you and you just lost it. So what's preventing that? Well, fear of failure usually, confidence, or it's like, comparing myself to other people, doing the whole comparison game, like looking at them and going like, oh, I'll never be as good as him or her, or look as pretty as him, or look as pretty as her, and be as buff as him, or whatever, right? And so lack of confidence comes from basically giving your power away somehow, some way to something external, something like that. It's like you're saying, oh, here, give it away. And causes that.
Like that. I think that's 100%, like, to me, that's 100% right. Oh, correct. I believe in that because I feel like we like idolize a lot of things from the outside that makes us feel like shitty in the inside.
Yes.
Like 100%.
Yeah.
So I really like how you said that. Okay, so I think what I know we're running out of time.
Yes.
I don't know how much time you have left for me, but I have at least two more questions to go for you, if you're okay with that.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so how can a person be more, wait, I think we already touched that. You kind of touch a lot, so I am. So just for people that don't know what a life coach does and what you actually do, what is a typical session for you? Like a day in a life coach or a session?
So there's a structure and a format that I got trained in. In the beginning, I didn't understand that there is an actual structure to it. And there's a lot of people out there who don't understand it and they call themselves life coaches. And I'm not, knocking anybody, but I believe that there's a huge responsibility as a life coach because people are trusting you with directing them in their lives. So you should have some sort of formal training, even if you have natural talent. Actually, I need to say that first off. So what I use is I use the structure of the International Coaching Federation, ICF, and they lay out a very simple structure of like a 7-step process for a traditional coaching session. So the number one is you build a little bit of rapport with the person, you connect with them, how you doing, how's it going. And there's more to that. You pay attention to the words they're using, to their body language, and energetically as well. You connect with them energetically and you're present. You don't have your phone on, you're there. So you're building this rapport and this connection. That's the first step. The second step, that once you build that rapport and that connection, is you then ask them, like, if you met them last week, but if it's you'll ask, how did it go this past week with some of the action steps? Because coaching is about, it's action, which is why it's different than therapy. Coaching is action based. So you take action because you get results by taking action, right? We can have a session and you feel great. And then a week passes by and you didn't do it. You sat on the couch all week. You're not going to have results, right? So you check in on how it went the past week. But if it's a new client, then you would say, hey, what are some things that are present right now that would be beneficial for you. You skip the checking in and you move into what's called setting the agenda. So setting the agenda is you ask your client, what are some things that if we worked on today would really help move the needle forward in your career, in your relationship, or in your health and fitness, whatever area you're helping them out with, right? They might say, well, you know what? I could use more clarity on what I really want to do. I'm kind of confused on my purpose. I'm not clear. Okay, cool. So by the end of our session, you qualify, then you get some measurements. How would you know that you found your purpose? What can we end with in this session that you would walk away feeling like we achieved what you want? So life coaching, you always making it about the client. It's not my agenda. It's not what I want. Who gives a frick about me, right? This is your client. It's about your client, what they want. So once you get the agenda and you get the measurables for the agenda, then you move into the actual coaching session. You start to work on those things. So that's when you bring out your tools and all the things that you know how to do. You said something earlier, and I didn't mention this. You said the ability to see things differently. It's called in NLP, we call that reframing. Being able to reframe, given a different meaning or a different context. So you do certain reframes and you start to work in that coaching session to help the client create what they want to create in that session. So you might do role playing, you might pull out a tool if they have an emotion that's keeping them blocked. There might be a limiting belief that you have to knock out. It could be a lot of things. You don't know what's going to come up.
Yeah.
Whatever comes up, you handle it. Then from there, you're listening, because coaching is 80% listening, by the way. Right now, I'm not coaching you. I'm like doing 90% talking, right? But if I was coaching you, you would have been doing 80% talking, and I would have been doing 20% asking questions and reframing. So while you're asking questions, you're paying attention and you're identifying action steps because you want to put them in action. So there's different types of questions you ask. There's what's called being questions. There's what's called doing questions and having questions. Think of it in terms of energy. I'm not going to have enough time to go into this, but it's a big subject. Be, do, have, right? But to simplify it, the being question is right here, right now. You can be happy, be joyful, be love. You don't need any action to be those things. Those are being states. That's creative energy. And then there's doing questions, which is the energy of transformation. That's taking action, right? So what are some things what could you do more of, Lara, this week? What could you do less of? What is something that you could do that would really move the needle forward in your business? Those questions are going to cause certain tasks, what I call them, to surface. So I'm paying attention in the whole coaching session, what you're saying. And then there's having, how would it feel when you have it? That completes the cycle. Be, do, have. It's like an energy thing, right? So being, energy, transmutation, and having is a completion of the cycle of the energy, right? So by the end of the session, you already have maybe some tasks, but you want to check in with your client. So what did you learn? What did you learn in this session? Based upon what you learned, what are some things you now know you need to do? And what that does is then begins to give you the action steps for this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you move on to the next level, which is, hey, Lara, great session today. You got your task. How do we do on your agenda, which was to help you find your purpose? We did great, Michael. Awesome. Yes, we did. We did great. Filling your agenda. You don't say that, but that's basically what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? And then the next step is, hey, next week, same time, same place. Yeah. So people make it like challenging, right? Life coaching is simple. It's not complicated, but you do have to understand that it's not about you or your beliefs or your opinions. It's about them. So you got to be able to have enough discipline to leave your opinions at that door over there. I got my opinions. Trust me. Everybody has a fucking opinion. They're like assholes, right? You got one. Everybody's got an opinion. But my opinions don't matter in the coaching session. What matters is my client.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
And then,
One more question before you run away. I know times are a little bit tricky right now. So what do you value the most, or what do you value right now at the given moment? Because this COVID pandemic has taken a tour on us. It has changed how we move, how we appreciate things, what we actually appreciate, So what do you value at the moment?
Well, I think, if I could say what I really feel in my heart right now is is I'm a little bit sad, what I'm seeing, and I'll tell you what I'm sad about. I'm a little bit sad that certain people are only thinking about themselves and not seeing the bigger picture that we're losing in our country, our our constitution. We're losing our freedom, we're losing our constitution, and people don't see it. And it's because there's a lot of fear that's been purposely projected onto us. A lot of misinformation going on out there. We should always be able to have a conversation like you and I are having right now. We can share different opinions. We can even have different ideas. This is how we should operate. But when you got people being censored and not allowed to be in a conversation, when you got legitimate doctors being kicked off platforms, that's not healthy conversation. If they got data, let's hear it. Don't block them because it doesn't fit an agenda. And so it's sad. It's sad when I'm seeing it and see our freedom being taken away in this country, which is what this country is built on. And when you hear a president say it's not about personal freedom or personal choice, I just go like, what the heck are you saying? It's about personal freedom and personal choice. So I hope more people wake up to that, and just, I would love to see, like, to me, it's like, I believe, the biggest conflict right now is like, are you vaccinated or you're not vaccinated, right? And I think it should be, I got no problem if people I'm personally not vaccinated, but I would like the people that are vaccinated to stand up for me as much as I would stand up for them and their choice. That's all I'm saying. Let's stand up for each other. Like, we're humans and we're together and we're one people, right? Like, so that's my little 2 cents in the whole thing. If I think we should follow the golden rule. Jesus came to teach us the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you can eat in a restaurant and your brother can't because they're not vaccinated, is that right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not right. Like, how you gonna make somebody shame because now they can't eat somewhere or they can't buy food somewhere? I mean, it's just gotten like way up. And if we allow that to happen, imagine what's going to happen next. That's what people aren't looking at. If we allow them to take this away, what else are they going to take away later on?
That's true.
And that's a scary road that if we're not careful as a society, pretty soon they'll just take all kinds of shit away. It's be like, well, it's not okay to drive a car anymore because cars kill people. And then we can't drive. I don't know. I'm talking shit, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of sad for the nurses that put their lives on the line. Just, I am vaccinated, but, just looking out for those nurses or,
Sure.
supporting the nurses that aren't vaccinated and don't want to get vaccinated. I think a lot of them put their lives on the line to work during the pandemic when they didn't have the shot yet.
Yeah.
They were on the ground inside the hospitals, putting their lives, putting their families at risk. And I think, like you said, if we keep letting, people tell us and take away our rights or their rights, what's next?
What's next? That's what I think. It's just we should be respectful of the bigger picture. It's like, whoa, what's going on here? If I like Pepsi and you like Coca-Cola, we could still be friends.
Yeah.
We could
I think we're losing a little bit of that humanity there.
But I get it. There's a lot of data, and there's some data that says if you're not, you're contributing to deaths. I mean, and then people that have actually experienced people die. I mean, it's a sensitive subject. You know what I mean?
It is.
And so my heart goes out to everybody in these challenging times that we're living in.
Definitely. Well, I want to thank you so much. I think I had a lot of questions that I didn't get to ask you, but I might just send them to you and then have you record your answers to them and send them back to me. I'm not even kidding, but.
Or we can always dump on another one later,
Yes, we can do a part 2, but this was great. I really appreciate you talking to me. I appreciate the honesty that you brought to this podcast and the authenticity, which is what this podcast is all about. Being real and honest and letting people know crying is okay. Laughing is okay. Feeling anxious is okay. Being depressed, it's okay. As long as you're getting the support and need that you deserve. So thank you. Any final words you have?
No, I love what you just said,
Yeah.
It's okay to be human.
Yeah.
I just made a video on this and I talked about sometimes it's not baggage. Sometimes you're just having a human experience and it's okay. And you're not alone. I know one of the things is that we struggle with a lot is that we think that when we're going through something,
Yeah,
we don't want to talk about it because we might be looked at a certain way. And you'll be amazed how many people are going through almost the same thing that you are.
definitely. I think so. And that's what makes us human. And that's always going to happen regardless, because I don't think no one has found the solution on how to be the perfect human.
You're right.
So we're always going to have those issues. They're always going to be here. They're part of our journey. And we just have to find ways to cope with it. That's it. But, or,
You are awesome. I want to say to everybody, you're awesome. You're freaking an awesome human being. I think what you're doing and the conversation that your energy is just, it's very inviting. It's very loving. It's very like, you're definitely an anomaly for most people that I know. So I commend you for the work you're doing and thank you for inviting me and sharing your audience with me. I appreciate you.
thank you. Thank you. Do you want to plug in your Instagram so people can,
Oh yeah. So it's so Michael Michael Torres Torres, and then it's actually Hymus. I know it looks like James, but it's J A. It looks like that. It looks like that. It's Jaimes. To be
why
really
did
simple.
you say something when I said
Oh,
Jamie?
all good.
I'm so
But
sorry.
no, that's all good. And so that's Michael Torres Hymus, and that's across pretty much every platform. I got YouTube, my YouTube channel. Go on that. It's a pretty cool channel I got going on right now. I have a
Okay.
website.
I will put your Instagram on the description and your YouTube channel and your Facebook as well, so people can
Yeah.
dive into that. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you, and I love this conversation. And we're definitely doing a part two.
Let's do a part two. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.